Hello everyone and welcome back to another minifigure series. Today I'll be taking a look at my Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim minifigure series. So like most of any newer LEGO minifigure series, this series is going to have 12 figures, so here's the packaging for it, 12 there in the corner, series 1 in case I do decide to do another at some point, a few figures there highlighted on the packaging, and let's get into it. Starting off with the first figure, probably the highlight of the film for myself, voiced by Brian Cox, Helm Hammerhand, who I think looks quite nice here. I'm happy with how the beard and the hair turned out. I like the outfit overall. It's definitely one of my favorites of the series, the crown, which I decided to, instead of sort of molded into the hairpiece, as you'll see I've done with the character later in the series, I wanted to print it onto his head here, which I think turned out nice, and I'm happy with this one. For the second figure of this series, I've got one of the two orc designs from the movie. They're a lot darker blue in the film, wearing some brown armor, and I quite liked how this one turned out. It was one of the first that I designed of the series, and it was one of my favorites of the series, actually. I quite liked how this one turned out, and I always love seeing the orcs in whether it's The Hobbit, this Lord of the Rings, or even, oh my goodness, what's the Amazon thing called? I don't know, but they were fun in that too. Alright, for the third figure, and I know I've said it for the last two, but this is probably my favorite of the series. Here is Helith. I really liked how this one turned out. I'm really happy with the hairpiece, the torso print, just the whole thing. I'm very happy with this one. It's probably my favorite figure that I've drawn from any minifigure series, and I'm quite pleased with how this one turned out. Alright, so the next one is the main villain of the film, trying to win Hera's hand, not in the best way. Wolf, son of Freka, who's in the series as well, but this one very in line with the Thorn Oakenshield hair crown combo piece that was introduced with the Battle of Five Armies. And yeah, I liked how this one turned out. I would sort of imagine that the cape with this one would be sort of a more furry cape, similar to the Wolfpack warrior minifigure from this year's minifigure series. But yeah, I quite liked how Wolf turned out here. For the fifth figure of the series, this is probably one of the more interesting looking ones, and one that I'm sort of split on whether I like my design of it or not, and this is the Snow Troll. What I wanted to do with this one was not create a new molded head for it. I wanted to use an existing piece, and since I saw it in this year's Series 27, I felt that it could work. So this is using the Boogeyman headpiece that goes over the torso for the minifigure, just with sort of a new shaped horn piece to be more in line with the large horns of the Snow Troll. But overall, I'm pleased with the leg and torso print. The face, I'm not entirely sold on, but I do like the concept of it, and I'm overall pleased with the Snow Troll figure. So at halfway through this series, here's Hera, the main character of the film. She's got multiple outfits in the movie, but I did quite like this one and wanted to represent it here. I think one thing that could be maybe added to this figure is a waist cape for that very beaten up dress that she's got at the end of the film. But yeah, I liked how this one turned out, using just an existing hairpiece. But I like the torso design on this one, and I'm using a darker gray for the dress instead of a white. I think white's a possibility as well, but it definitely seems a little more in the gray department for this particular outfit. But yeah, I liked how Hera turned out here. Alright, so the next figure is Freka, of course father to Wolf, and killed by Helm. But yeah, Freka, I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. The face print is probably one of my favorite face prints that I've drawn. The face print itself, I made sure that the face the base of the face is almost identical to Wolf. I wanted those to be very similar in design, but you've got those blue tattoos. There are a few more lines showing his age, and yeah, I'm really pleased with Freka. I also like the torso and leg design, but the face print was definitely the highlight of this figure to me, especially tying it in with Wolf as well. All right, so the next figure here is General Targ, the right-hand man to Wolf throughout the film. And I'm quite pleased with how this one turned out. I really like the leg and torso design. The cape is sort of split in half as he has this more furry, whitish tan color on one side of the cape, and then, of course, the black on the other. But I'm quite pleased with how this one turned out, and I really do like the torso and leg prints. All right, so the next figure here is Freylaf, nephew to Helm, and I quite like this one. I'm pleased with how it turned out. I like the face print just with sort of the smiling effect, as I felt he was one of the more kind characters in the film, especially to Hera. I like how the hairpiece turned out as well, which is sort of a common design that I used throughout this series, as I felt it fit a lot of the characters. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with this one. I did enjoy and like Freylaf's character in the film. Definitely one of my favorites, probably like behind Helm. I really liked Helm, but yeah, I quite liked him, and was happy with how this figure turned out in the end. All right, next is Leaf, younger, shorter character of the film, so naturally using short legs with this figure. Definitely one of the most basic designs figure of this series. I quite like it in the fact that it reminds me a lot of what you would see with the dwarf figures from The Hobbit, or even the Hobbits themselves throughout the Lord of the Rings sets. But I'm quite pleased with how this one turned out, and of course bringing that Hobbit hair into this one sort of felt I had to just do that at least once. I feel like when I think of Lego Lord of the Rings, that hairpiece specifically is one of the ideas that's always stuck in my head, is that particular hairpiece, so I sort of had to put it in this Lord of the Rings series some way. All right, so next is Alwyn, the former Shield Maiden for Rohan, and I'm pleased with how this one turned out. I like the hairpiece for it, which is mixing an existing hairpiece and sort of adding on to it to have a bit of a longer effect. For the hairpiece, of course, she serves as sort of a mentor figure for Hera throughout the film. I'm quite pleased with this one, and yeah, I quite like it, especially with those dual-molded legs, which I used a decent amount through this series, especially for certain characters, as a lot of them wear sort of longer boots, and it just felt like it worked for a lot of the characters. Right, so the 12th and final figure of this series is Hema, the second brother to Hera, Helm's second son, and yeah, I quite liked how this one turned out. It was one of the first few I designed. I'm quite pleased with the torso and leg print. The hairpiece, not as much. I do wish I had done a bit more with that one, but I overall like the cape, how that intersects with the torso, and the torso print itself I'm quite pleased with, but overall I'm quite pleased with these 12 figures. Alright, so ending it off here, here's the series pamphlet with the 12 figures in the series, the War of the Rohirrim logo there. But yeah, I quite like the figures in this series. I hope you enjoyed them as well. I think I pretty much captured all the characters that needed to be captured in a series like this. I thought of maybe including Saruman in this series, but of course we just have really solid figures of him already, as well as Eowyn. I thought of including her as the narrator of this film, considering we don't have a figure of her, which is just ridiculous that we don't. Hopefully at some point we do, because I don't believe we'll ever see any of these guys in any sort of sets, but Eowyn, I think, definitely needs to be made at some point. But yeah, that's the Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim series. And that's that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the 12 figures for this series. I enjoyed drawing these figures, and have continued to enjoy drawing these now that I've This, of course, the second series. In a few days, I've also have my Oscars 2025 series releasing. And I'm really happy with how these are turning out. Some of these in this series were definitely some of my favorites that I've designed, and I'm quite pleased with them. I enjoyed War of the Rohirrim. It doesn't necessarily stand out to me as much as something like the Lord of the Rings trilogy or the Hobbit trilogy does, but I did enjoy this quite a bit, and I wanted to represent some of these characters here a couple of months after the film's release. I don't entirely know what my next minifigure series is going to be. I am going to start working on my second Wes Anderson series not too long from now, but a couple others that I can sort of give you a hint at that are in the pipeline that I definitely want to work on soon. This wasn't a planned one, but after watching it, I feel like I need to, and that's Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I definitely sort of want to work on one of those and release that maybe by the end of March. But then in May, I've decided that originally I did sort of want to do a Star Wars series for May, especially for May 4th, and I still think I want to do that. But with the release of The Thunderbolts, a film that I'm quite excited for and one that isn't getting any sets, I thought it would be a good idea to draw the full Thunderbolts lineup along with Sentry, Void, and some of the other characters from the film like Val. So those are a couple series, I guess specifically Marvel series that I'll be working on and trying to get done. I've also thought about maybe doing a Marvel Rivals one. We'll see where that goes. But I hope you enjoyed this War of the Rohirrim series. Hope you have enjoyed my Lego minifigure series so far, and I'll see you in the next one. Of course, the next one is in a couple days, but after that, I'll see you in the next one, which I don't entirely know what I will be drawing for that series as I haven't started it, but we'll see, and I'm quite excited to continue doing these because I continue to enjoy them. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.